good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're at. So today, kids, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about, well, we're going to do a two-cycled autopsy. I have a 125 BV Husqvarna blower. And what I'm going to talk about is when you get something like this, when does it become cost effective to go ahead and continue if you have to repair it, or when you do have to just let it go and throw it away. And I hate to say it that way, but it's the truth. I'm going to talk about a lot of different stuff through this whole thing while I'm disassembling this, because just this year alone, since January, I've had about 4 blowers, 2 chainsaws, and a couple other 2-cycle things, a weed whacker and some other stuff, that where people have mistakenly put straight gas in or loaned it out and had it happen. And the pictures you're going to see off to the side is basically what happens on the inside. So without further ado, let's get into the 2-cycle autopsy. So this was brought to me by a friend of mine at work. He went ahead and they replaced the carburetor. It sat over the fall and winter time and was like, hey, you know, it ran fine. Went ahead and decided, well, we'll just put a new carburetor on it. Couldn't get the carburetor to adjust right, couldn't get it to run right, couldn't do a lot of things. Called me up, said, hey, would you mind taking a look at it? I said, yeah. So the first thing I always do, pull it myself, see what I get. Pull the plug, see if I get some kind of spark, or see if it's wet, see, and let me know if the carburetor's doing that. Once I seen I got spark and it was wet, well, then I take and check and see if the screws are somewhat close to what would be construed as nominal. And what I mean is like anywhere from half to 3/4 to even full turn on the high, and the same for the low, just to see if it was set kind of like a factory zero, see if anybody else has been messing with it. Once I achieve all that and I don't get anything else, then I go into compression check. Without further ado, 60 psi is what I was getting. Well, then out comes the borescope. I go ahead and I borescope it. That's where it really showed me the bad parts. You'll see in the pictures. The cylinder wall is polished, which is not supposed to be. No cross cuts. The top of the piston looks like the moon, so that tells me right there that it has been at a high temp for a while, and it basically started melting the top of the piston and causing a catastrophic failure. So I'm just going to tear down to the crank, and that's it. I'm going to stop, but I will explain the cost effective if it is worth it for something like this. It's a waste to watch a perfectly good piece of equipment that if you took it to a regular repair facility, they're going to laugh you out of there. They're going to be like, it's not worth it. Because the average starting hour is anywhere from 75 on up. Me, on the other hand, shade tree mechanic. I donate my time to friends, family, and what have you to help them out. But there is also a point where it gets to whether or not it's cost effective. Because right now, without really detailed into this, the piston and the cylinder, and it could be a connecting rod, we could dig all the way deep into this engine. Once it gets that far, you start doing an itemized pricing, you're going to know right there. It's better to send it to the recycle bin. Okay? I hate to do that, but it is what it is. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're just going to disassemble to where I can get access to that cylinder and piston, and then from there we'll see what we got. Okay? So bear with me. Alright, you can see the bearing is shot. It's got play. This one's stiff as hell. It's not moving. you can see where wash has gone down and it's gone up inside. Okay. And then not only that, the ring is completely compressed. It's kind of swedged in. So it's not even doing its job. Yeah, it won't even, it's so gummed up full of stuff and metal. I mean, I'll have a close-up picture, but you can see. Okay. Bearing here is real hard to turn. Get it off of there. There we go. Finally, turn it a little bit. It feels crunchy. Take that one off. That one's not too bad. It don't feel that bad. Crank, other than a couple little burn marks and chafe marks, doesn't look too bad. But the bearing is really wobbly. So piston is definite. Not even sure if we can get the rod out of it without beating the heck out of it. But we'll see. I know, I'm bringing out the magic hammer again. Come back from the other way. See if we got any movement. No, but it's getting stiffer. Got it out. Bearings are just crunchy as hell all inside. I'll have a close-up picture, but you can see that. Now let's take a look inside here. You'll see all throughout there's a little bit of the cross cut, but it's mostly polished by wash and everything else. You can see what the exhaust looks like. It was getting all packed up full of metal. That's aluminum that you're seeing all crunchied up in there. And the crank is gone. Bearings are all packed full of carbon and whatever else is in there. This bearing is real wobbly. So you're out those at least. Throw in a couple bearings. I don't know what the exact cost is. Then you're gonna need to clean all this crap out of here where it's basically, it's gas, mud, dirt, and everything else that's in there. And most of these come with a new seal kit. But let's set aside what we're gonna have to, we know they're gone. Okay, now we've got it torn apart. Now let's figure out if it's cost effective. First off, most companies will not even go this far. Most companies won't even do this. Most companies, unless it's a warranty, are not even going to touch the machine. Now, shade trees like me and stuff, we might do it. Some of us, we know the machines well enough, but this is where you have to really dig down in your soul and ask yourself, is it worth it? Okay. If you were to take this to a shop, minimum of 3 hours, Shop rate at 75. I'm being really nice. Most shop rates are starting out now at about $100. So 3 hours, let's put that at 225. Okay. OEM is what I would replace it with. If you wanted to go with aftermarket, then you can knock off probably 25% of what OEM prices are. So OEM for this assembly right here is $46 on up, including what you see right here. Crank is $41 on up. Some places are cheaper. The bearing seals are roughly $10 on up. The bearings themselves are $15 a piece on up, and then the seal kit itself is roughly around $20 on up. Okay, so OEM and parts alone, we're looking at roughly about $180 just right here. So remember what I said: $225, $180. We're at $400 or $405. Is it cost effective now? No, it's not. Because you could get the machine, a brand new one, if you liked your 125 BV, you could get a new one for roughly around $220 to $250. Now, I know people are going to chime in. Well, I know I can get it cheaper and I can do it anyway. Whatever. I don't buy anything unless it's OEM for stuff like this that I know is going to be used a lot. Second, I don't use used parts. I have seen too many times where, oh yeah, it came straight out of grandma's leaf blower and it was working just fine. And then I get it and all of a sudden it looks like this. Oh, that must have happened in shipping. Or I get some lame ass BS story. Or, I've had stuff come in with fins broken off of it. And it wasn't, it must have happened in shipping, or I had it in the description. Whatever, I don't care. But this is where now you do the soul search of whether or not do you want to do it. Me, I like to go ahead and build things, put things back up, but there's also a point when I realize that I have to stop and say, no, this is not cost effective. It's not smart. One, like with me, I'm a DIYer, but at the same time, I donate my time and friends and family to help out. At the same time, when it comes down to this is 3 hours of my time to put this all back together, to get it running and everything like that. It helps them on that end for the 180 or something parts. But let's say if they wanted to just give me a little bit of money, they're still even with 175 to 180, they're only $60 away, and it really doesn't make sense. I'm not knocking people. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to just go ahead and do it, just because it might be your favorite machine. There's been so many times that I have had to tell people, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do it. And it's kind of like I'm the last stop at the train station when people want to get something done, because they know that somebody else they're going to lose their butt if they took it to somebody else. Hopefully I've showed you some things of what happens when you run straight gas in a 2-cycle engine. It's not pretty, and it's expensive. Is this repairable? Yeah, it is. Is it worth being repaired? No, it's not. Because you have to ask yourself, how deep are you willing to go into your pockets just to get a leaf blower or something like a chainsaw or something small like that back up and running? The man hours are going to outweigh the parts. And on top of that, parts might not even be ready or accessible for a while, depending on what it is, depending on the manufacturer, depending on a lot of things. We know supply chains are still shot in the butt, so you might not get what you're waiting on. This thing might be sitting in a box for 6-7 months waiting on a part. I hate to put that in reality, but at the same time, if you need to go ahead and get out there and start blowing or weed whacking or whatever, it'd be better if you just go ahead and go buy you a new machine. All right. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's how this ball bounces. As usual, this is Trav. Y'all have a great and safe day and look out for each other. Bye.